Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the finest on of War Soulstormcasts this side of East Yorkshire. And today we have got a 2 vs 2 on Rockclaw Foothills. Playing on Team 1 as the Space Marines, we've got Med Rengard. And we've got Yang Wen Li playing as the Chaos Space Marines. We've got Team 2 playing as the Tau Empire, we have got Quay Dadot. And we've got Puperkek playing as the Orks. So it looks like that the Space Marines and Chaos have put aside their differences to bash some filthy Xenos over on the southern side. And Rockclaw Foothills, as we've said a million times on the channel before, it's a fight for central supremacy. There's plenty of goodies on in the centre to be getting a hold of, and usually whoever controls the centre the quickest is the happiest in the long gun. Plenty of bits and bobs to be capturing as and when they go on forward, however. I don't think either faction here has got a negative thing going on for this map. I mean, as you can see, you can't quite see because of the fog of war, but essentially, it's a very narrow map, so there's not going to be much in the way of flanking manoeuvres to be done. Tau don't mind that because they could just pop down a load of fire warriors in these choke points, maybe get some barracudas, flying on high to poke and prod at the cliff sides over on here. Whereas, obviously, the Chaos Space Marines and the regular Space Marines, plenty of heavy infantry that they can make use of. And also the cultists with their long-range grenade launchers could definitely be besieging any kind of defensive structures going on down here. And the Orks, well, they're just here, aren't they? They just love it. Throw a million men towards the end, and if it gets to the late game and they get their infinite Slugger Boy upgrade, the more fun for them. Just send swaths of green boys to the front lines. Doesn't matter if they all die, as long as they're dying having fun. What is it in the... I can't remember what the book's called, but the book where the Orks go to Kamara and the Eldari, the Drukari even, as they are known now, are interviewing the war boss. And the war boss says, well, doesn't matter how we die, as long as it's either funny or violent. That's the main way we want to go. And you know what? I appreciate that. I appreciate that indeed. We've got Tau Commander coming forward. I'm interested to see these Assault Marine squads. Did not think that would be seeing those guys on this battlefield, but I suppose if you're up against Tau and the inevitable shooter boys that will come forth, maybe, what's your face? Med Rengard is going to go for the melee-oriented stuff. And then Yang Wen Li. Both these players you've seen on the channel before, very accomplished players. Not so much sure about Quay Dadot and the Orc player. I'm sure that if they're going toe-to-toe with these boys, they've got some skill behind them. Servitors attempts to avoid the Tau Commander. And then over on this side, got a fistful of cultists attempting to keep their distance from the Slugger Boys and the Big Mech. You have not gone for an armory, so you're just using those cultists for tying things up and for capping. Very fragile in comparison to their Orc counterparts. Got the Chaos Lord coming over, which the Big Mech will definitely want to avoid getting in close combat with. That is a high DPS commander coming in. He's got his helmets on and he means business. A couple of swipes here and there, and neither commander's really focusing on the other. They're just, there we go, now turning their attention to each other's loving embrace. But Big Mech decides to attach himself to the Shooter Boy squad and then run away. Well, not run away, just tactically redeploy is what we call it. The C8 heavy ball turret here on the side. No, we don't want that in our midst. And the Tau Commander still remarkably full health, more or less. So that's preventing any kind of building going on at home. Some stealth suits meandering around as well. Slugger Boys being brought down to but one model and a whole squad wipe going on there, but you kind of expect it. The Slugger Boys are there to die. That is the whole bag. As I say, violence or funny. As long as it's one or the two, that's the main thing. Now got an upgrade listening post coming in for Puperkek.
Boss, who is getting shot up?
Chaos coming down into the centre. No, so far, they've got a Tau capturing this listening post over here, but strategic point if you want to be really technical. But not getting anything on there, so the central points still neither in favour for Chaos or the Orcs at the moment. We have a Skull Servitor probe moving on over. One scout team has been seen and killed. They'll now be focusing down this listening post as no one's here to defend it. The Orcs are blisteringly, speedily coming on over. Cultists have now got their grenade launchers. That's going to be knocking around those Shooter Boys, massively reducing their overall DPS. Here comes the second squad of Shooter Boys. No big shooters on them at the moment there. Chaos have got their Sergeant with the plasma pistol. I'll be increasing their overall DPS. Cultists keeping their distance as much as they can. But the Chaos Space Marines over on this side also been fired up by this listing person. It's now down to half health. Almost got it, but not quite. Tau Commander coming back after his mischief and mayhem around the back lines. I assume he's gone for builder unit hunting. And he's already got his missile launcher, so that's a tier 2 for the Tau boys at the moment. Frontline pilot guns, always dangerous to put those buildings on the front lines for the Orks, but those power grots that we saw the other day, always helpful for a defensive posture. Listing person's down. And the Orks are but one war banner away from tier 2 themselves. How are Space Marines doing? Space Marines on the way to tier 2. The Chaos Space Marines not quite yet. They've had to invest in their cultists with grenade launchers. So that will have delayed them ever so slightly. But the centre... Space Marines have got this bit. Chaos have got this bit. So it's definitely Astartes focused at the moment. There's the big shooters on the shooter boys. Slugger Boy squad with the big mech to teleport in. How are the Tau doing for their army at the moment? You have gone for... Oh, we'll have to watch from a Tau perspective. So you can see these Devilfish troop carriers manoeuvring around. Gonna go for a couple of Barracudas as well. I did mention that flanking on this map. Oh, never mind, mate. Although we'll talk about strategy later on. Got an action going on. Big mech jumps in, although that's a lot of firepower for him to contend with. Got the scouts as well going here, there and everywhere. Assault Marines jumping on top of those shooter boys. Pathfinders spot the jump pack troopers, force them backwards. Big mech is down and dead. But no infiltration detection. I take that back. Got some infiltration detection, not sure where that is. You've got it. Barracuda, always a nice choice there. A lot of firepower. I know it says vehicle and aircraft, but those old bloofers coming out of it also does quite a good job against infantry as well. All purpose, very flexible and manoeuvrable. Listing post for the Space Marines goes down. Tau Commander, I mean that missile launcher on this backpack makes all the difference in the grand scheme. As I say, the flanking potential of a map like this isn't amazing, but those Barracudas still quite useful in a supporting kind of role. There's the Storm Boys trying to counteract those Assault Marines. One cult, not sure where he was going. Getting lost in the sauce. And what seemed like an Astarte takeover has now rapidly collapsed under the sheer weight and numbers. Orc infantry and Tau vehicle supremacy now pushing in, and they're doing exactly what they need to. Focus on their economy. This isn't going to be a game-ending push, but if you can break down the economy bit by bit, you'll eventually get that overall advantage in troop number. Oh, they're going to do it. They're going to push right on in. Oh, I don't know about this. I'd ideally want to see this listing post and this one over here being cracked down on. But going forward, the chaplain over by the heavy bolter Space Marines just shouts mean words at the Storm Boys. While Orks might talk a lot of smack, words are hurtful, you know. No one's skin is thick enough to ignore an insult, but they're back in it. Turnaround time is alright for them, I suppose. This Devilfish troop carrier has taken barely any damage. I mean, as I say it now, so no it's taken damage, as the caster curse is always a thing, but I'm really surprised that that's not been focus fired down earlier. The Assault Marine's now been slowed down by a snare trap, I imagine. Orks and Tau are in falling back positions. Go on, just this relic is just desperate for a sniffing. Storm Boys, they've got the Power Claw on the Storm Boy knob, which makes them excellent at breaking through buildings if it wasn't for all these cultists firing their grenade launchers. Now got the shiny eyes as well, so any kind of Tau infiltrated shenanigans will not be allowed. Not allowed to do it. And that's just the rules. Orks have got extra listing post potential, always important. Good economies, 110 and 60 and 128 and 20 for the Orks. Opposed to 74 and 40 and 92 and 30. The Astartes are really struggling economically at the moment, and we're still going to have to watch from the tower perspective so we can see that troop carrier. The classic double Space Marines into a Rhino stratagem. You can never really go wrong with it. Allow Space Marines to get as close as they like, not taking too much damage, then unloading a full face first into an enemy position. Chaos Space Marines are also doing the same. It's also quite a good strategy for if you've not got much money, which is exactly what the Space Marines and Chaos Space Marines are struggling with at the moment. The financial hurt really being felt. Now making a beeline for the tower listing post. We've got a Hell Talon looking to see if they can do a bit of business on the front lines for the Orks. And there's another... Oh dear, again, I get it, you've got a Grot here. Oh yeah, he's got loads of guns on this dude. Very nice. Still, if you lose it, then you're shafted, really. Thankfully, it's not war banners. We'll take that. We'll take that for what it is. Just all the war banners are here. Okay, all right. At the moment, we've got some tank busters coming out, which makes sense. Some anti-vehicle stuff. Take on the Rhino transports as well as those Hell Talons. And a big mech teleport somewhere. That's the deal with the Hell Talon almost getting down a plasma generator. But these tank busters are certainly doing the job. Now I want to see a war truck just to ferry them around. Oh, the upgrade listing post goes down. Space Marines have gone for a combination of heavy bolter turret, heavy bolter guns, sorry, and the missile launchers. Well, the guns have already got a good amount of upgrades from them, so it's not the end of the world that they've lost it. Ideally, you don't want to lose it when you can, though. Our Space Marines going exclusively for those heavy bolters. Infantry is going to have real difficulty staying alive from the Tau and Orc perspective. Might need some more Storm Boys jump on top of these guys. After all, the Tau, I mean, what have they got? They've got Kroots. The Kroot will struggle to stay alive running towards them. However, double Barracudas inside the Space Marine base. And at the moment, they've not got really much to bring forth. They can get Landspeeder and Tempest, but outnumbered. Those Tempests will, those Barracudas will win all day long. Big mech being shot at to the high heavens. Tau now making use of the high ground. Oh dear! One volley. Those Pathfinders are having a bad time. Yeah, the high advantage. It's not Star Wars. The high ground doesn't give you any particular benefit other than the ability to retreat from enemies and not get chased up afterwards. Dreadnought goes down. Now got some horrors beaming in. Managed to take down a couple of plasma generators, but looking like they're going to lose both Barracudas here. Not sure if that's worth it entirely. Take down a couple and bring them back. Barracudas are quite expensive if you're still building any. No, you're not, but Tau vehicles aren't known for their cheapness, with the exception of the Devilfish troop carrier. It's a remarkably cheap vehicle. But we've got the shooters being ferried around by the war truck. Tank busters being chased around by the Chaos Space Marines and the Rhino transport. Plenty of Fire Warriors, but they're not quite set up just as of yet, because they're knocked around by all the AoE knockback from those grenade launchers. Here come the Orks to attempt to help them out, but having to force them back was so expensive at 70 blue to reinforce. Mind you, though, the Tau have got the money to replace them. Not doing too bad economically for now. Looks like there was some mischief going on around there, but not quite. Ah, there we go. If you can't find them on the front lines, force them back. War truck over here, or war track, sorry. Struggling a bit with all this DPS coming in. Here's the double horrors. And all the horrors over here. Horrors can't really stop the war track. War truck. God, I hate that they've got a really similar name. Bothers me greatly. But ferrying all of 3 Orks. Oh dear. That's not the harassment that they really wanted, was it? Goodness gracious. Well, the Tau are attempting to hold back the legions that are marching towards them. They don't have the numbers required to do anything. They have some more troop carriers on the get-go. Got a Nob squad as well from Puper Keck. The Assault Marines will definitely not want to tussle with. Assault Marines don't really outdo any other factions' melee-specific units. They're kind of the counter the enemy's range units, but that's about it. Don't really want them fighting against anyone else that's specialised in melee. At least not unless, of course, they've got fire support. Well, there we are. What's the tech situation at the moment? Not entirely sure for either side. Oh, we've got the Orbital Relays, the Space Marines are in Tier 3. We have got the Kion Command Post. So it looks like that the Tau are just basically going to go for a heavily upgraded Fire Warrior line, I imagine. Maybe some more Kroots. That is right, isn't it? Kion, K for Kroot. If I'm remembering it correctly. I should know by now, having casted these games for about 3 years, but just something I can never remember. You know. Got double Nobs coming on the left-hand side. One teleporting right in the middle of everyone. Big zap on the Chaos Rhino to prevent it from running away. And lovely positioning from both factions here, or both sides even. Orbital bombardment right on the cliff edge to prevent that fire support from the tower coming in. Nobs are on their own, the morale's been broken. They're chasing around all these Space Marines with very little DPS coming out for them. Got double tank busters, although I don't know if double tank busters is a little bit too much. You've only really got the Rhinos and the distant Defiler to fire at. Tower now setting up properly. There's no more orbital shenanigans to really deal with them. We've also got that ethereal. If you can get a decent blue off, which you might be able to do, Terminators just ever so slightly avoiding that. It's really hard to get that blast off. You kind of have to do it in the middle of a enemy fight. Let's say, for example, if you've got, like what we saw there, Orks down here, Space Marines down here, fighting here, there, and everywhere. You don't really want to put it in the middle of them because they'll see it and then walk backwards from it. What you want to do is they want to put it on the back lines, which will force them towards the Orks. Kind of like what we said about the Necron Solar Pulse from the Game Mode channel the other day. Well, there we go. So, at the moment, it seems that have the Space Marines been able to regather their economy? Yes, and yes. Okay, so economically, both sides are now on par. The slight advantage to the Northern Astartes, as they have now got the central points. And they're doing the absolute right thing. They're sitting here, they've denied all the points. And now they can just sit on their haunches for the moment. Use that superior economy to then get ahead of themselves before then doing a mighty fine push. What the heck's going on with you guys? Or you just pretend?
5
Tau
minutes
units.
until take and hold
Maybe.
victory.
You've got the Fire Warrior Bodyguard. Very powerful range unit. Assault Marines poking and prodding and seeing what they can get. I've got a double Nobs, they're pushing it over here where the Tau can't support.
Must kill.
But they know that they can't sit here and do nothing. They've got to act at some point. Tau are besieging the left-hand side.
We hold it now.
Assault Marines jumping in, although I don't know if this is just to scare them away or to free up some squad cap. Double Space Marines continually being ferried around by the Rhino transport. Got a Librarian as well to join the Terminators. Yeah, I assume that the Force Commander and the Chaplain are in the mobile Space Marine units. Well, this could be quite a difficult thing for the Space Marines to get a hold of. If the Tau can they could lay the fire, which they're not really doing at the moment. Kind of just stopping themselves from coming in. Yeah, because now the Space Marines can just see that and say, okay, we'll just wait for that to finish. And then... I'm hoping that my advice makes sense. I'm not sure if it is, but... like I say, if it was behind them, it would have forced them to come forward. It's not where they wanted to be. So the Orcs now committing to go on the left-hand side. Whereas the Chaos Space Marines now say, oh, look at all these juicy bits and bobs that we can sink our teeth into. That forces the Nobs to teleport into less than favourable engagement. Obliterate squad jump on backwards. Town now have to move on over, which allows Space Marines to get flanking manoeuvre in there. There's the flash kits, but only 3 of them at the moment. You have some... Oh, that's the war boss activating the war.
3 minutes until taken.
And actually, the Orks are doing a pretty damn good job now that they've got that flash kit squad on the go. A little bit too cocky, maybe. After all, I mean, the elite of the Orks, once they get going, it's really difficult to contend with them. But so too is it with the late game Space Marines. Double Terminators. Is it double Terminators? It's just a one squad Terminators at the moment. But all those hero units are picked apart there by the Basilisks and the Fighter Bomber, knocking everyone everywhere. Tower now got the space to open fire on these guys. Orks over here using the mass of their heavy infantry. Even the Chaos Lord struggling to contend with that war boss. Oh, okay, you know what? For a brief moment, I panicked. I thought to myself that the way that the Orks moved and then the Chaos Space Marines folded into all the Orc stuff there, I thought that was game over for a second then, but no. They managed to rally themselves around. There's no Rhino for the Space Marines to fall back with there. So they're going to be picked off one by one. Terminators looking like they're going to try and teleport away, which they do. Those Barracudas can still stay on top of them. But now they must continue pushing forward. They cannot let these listing posts stay within the control and the confines of the Loyalist and Traitor Astartes. They've got to continue their manoeuvres. For the amount of money that the Northern boys have got, they can easily replace all that they've lost. Once you take that money away from them, that prevents them from doing so for obvious reasons. So I've got so many lads on the scene now. This is why they've gone Kai on, just because they get that extra upgrade on the armour and the damage output of the Tau Fire Warriors. Sure, will they lack out on the... Oh, what do you call it? The big tank that does lots of damage for the Tau. Can't remember what it's called, but does a lot of damage. And we're not going to get it, but that's fine, because they've got that all-important Fire Warrior Ball. Oh, I love the missiles of the Orks. Very nice from the Fighter Bomber. It's that whistle it makes. It makes me think of like a Looney Tunes character. You know when Coyote drops from a cliff? So, I mean, I imagine the vast majority of you guys at this point don't know what I'm on about. It wasn't on TikTok, so you won't be aware. The other half of you will. But half of my audience is about 30 years plus, and the other half are like 29 minus, so I imagine it's a 50-50 split on references like that. Well, there were Orks here, but now there's less so. The elite melee units taking care of the Nobs quite handily. And again, you see what I mean? Like, it signals itself so much that the enemies are well aware of it. Oh, never mind. These guys weren't. They're just hardcore, though. They're just going to walk into it like bad men. And they're going to fall over it several times by repeatedly walking into that blue line there. Well, there's Demon Prince. And that's a dangerous customer. Double rockets. Looks like the Orks are just going for a massive artillery. But a fake squad of Fire Warriors just for vision's sake. So I assume you're fake Fire Warriors. You are. You're glowing green. You're not real. Can't fool me. Just going and seeing what the enemy have. And what they have is, well, death, I suppose. What have the Space Marines got going on at the moment? Have you got a lot of things in your orbital relay? You've got one thing in your orbital relay. And one way to counteract a mass of Fire Warriors is just throwing loads of Dreadnoughts into their firing line. That's never a bad idea. Seems like both sides at the moment are just reallocating their resources, requiring their men. Oh, here comes what can only be described as a bloodthirster. Knocking over a couple of cultists. as is good and proper. Demons rise on the flash gates. Open fire. Take him down. Sunshine. Ah, but he just goes in too quick. Too quick and too nimble. It's not like clear pigeon shooting at all. And the Bloodthirster are remarkably good at killing buildings, believe it or not. Going to focus on those war banners. Barracuda's going to focus on what they can on the flanks. Tower also going to do the same, making back some use of that hill. War boss over here is just chilling out, doing his own thing. Flank busters somewhere. Oh, they're here. Stealthed over yonder. It's going to be about how can those fire warriors break down as much as they can, as quickly as they can. Flash gets been tied up by that demon prince. It's not where they want to be. Do not enjoy that. Double Terminators jumping on top of the hill. The cliff no longer providing the blue boys any kind of solace. Oh, and here comes a Land Raider as well, left on side.
To the rally point!
In a severe lack of anti-vehicle from the Orks and the Tau. They were relying on those Barracudas to do that kind of damage. Oh, I suppose tank busters as well. But we've got a front line full of infantry and a lot of the vehicles. They don't really have that much vehicles, do they? Most of it was just defilers, which could be acting as an artillery piece. But first it comes on in. All the war banners here are dead. Another poorly timed bloofer. See, those bloofers can make or break an enemy assault, but they are really hard to hit off. See what I mean? This orbital bombardment, forcing the tower to move around. Now split them, so some tower on the right side, some tower on the left hand side. Well, I suppose the orbital bombardment doesn't really telegraph itself as much as the ethereals. I can't remember what it's called actually. I always call it a bloofer. It's not called a bloofer. But tough. In my quest to rename everything in Dawn of War in Yorkshire-friendly terms, that's just what we call it now, I'm afraid. Sorry, professionals that have been playing this game for years and years, but we're changing the language. Language isn't even real, man. We just made it up some time ago. Run, Warboss, run! Oh dear. It's got a wonderful run animation though, I do like it. Very jiggly is the Warboss. There we go, he knows desperate when the broadside battlesuits start coming out. Throwing everything in the kitchen sink at the wall. Nice placement for him there. The settlement is down. All they've got is a boys hut and a Warboss left. Go on, take him on. You've almost killed the Bloodthirster. Don't let him have it. Stand by your principles. No, he's gone. Not stood by us all. Oh, and the Warboss is dead. I don't know if the Warboss has got a specific kill sync against the Bloodthirster. It'd be cool if they did. Well, there we go. That's the game. There's the game indeed. I believe that the Southern Xenos would have actually had it much earlier on in the game if when they kicked the Astartes out of the centre, if they, instead of like going in and trying to kill loads of stuff, if they just kind of sat back and sat on all these points that they could have got, doing a little bit more economic damage, but they didn't. They just went in, did as much damage as they could, but also losing a lot of their own army in the process. So, and then obviously these guys just kind of rallied and did what they were supposed to, and murdered everyone. So there we go, that was the game. So cheers, boys and girls, watching at home. And if you want to support the channel, have a look at the old Patreon. £1 a month gets you once a game a week, and there is also a Discord where Discord things happen. Links in the description as always. Mine's been Miss Landshark, pleasure's always never short, and I'll see you in a bit. Peace.